I was really thinking about, took a minute to kind of step back and think about what we've been experiencing as Eagles fans. For the longest time, it was they hadn't won a championship since 1960. They're second class, second tier in their own division behind the Giants, Washington, and Dallas. And I think we're in the golden era of Eagles football. And we talk a lot about the early Andy Reid days from 2000 to 2008. But I think, I mean, obviously we won a Super Bowl in this era. So that sort of kind of trumps everything. But I really wanted to look into this. So I'm sitting at my son's basketball practice yesterday and just researching, doing the, basically my mind's always going when it comes to this podcast. Always thinking of ideas, thinking of things to do. But I wanted to compare the two eras. So really, if you take 2000 to 2008, the first 9 years of Andy Reid's term here, and then starting with Doug Peterson right after Chip Kelly from 2016 till today, how do those eras stack up? And like, I really think we're living in the golden era of Eagles football. But that 2000 to 2008 era is a pretty damn good one too. And that was back when I first got season tickets. So like, this is when before kids, before marriage, before really responsibilities, I was there every game. So kind of breaking down the numbers, and I usually don't do a lot of numbers on this podcast for obvious reasons, but when I do, usually they're to prove a point. So you take 2000 to 2008. The Eagles went 92, 51, and 1, 639 winning percentage, 5 division titles, 5 NFC championship games. They went to the one Super Bowl and made the playoffs 7 times. Starting with Dougie P's first year, and I had to include the COVID year in there, which just was a hot mess. The whole fight with him and Doug and Carson Wentz. But from 2016 until this past Sunday, the Eagles are 88 and 60 with still 3 games left for a 595 winning percentage, 3 division titles, 2 Super Bowl appearances in which they won 1, and 7 playoff appearances. I mean, if you want to break that down too, you take Andy Reid's 3 best years, and this is where it's tying back to Coach Sirianni. Andy Reid's 3 best years with the Eagles were probably 2002 to 2004. They went 37-11, 771 winning percentage, 3 NFC East titles, 3 NFC championship games, and went to 1 Super Bowl. 2022 till this past Sunday, with 3 games left, the Eagles under Nick Sirianni are 37-11 for a 771 win percentage, 1 NFC East title, 1 Super Bowl appearance, 3 playoff appearances. They're poised to win another NFC East. So if you want to give the Eagles the NFC East, that's 3-2 that the Andy Reid era gets over them from 2002 to 2004. But all of that to just kind of say, are we living in the golden era of Eagles football? Everybody up until probably 4 years ago, even during the Super Bowl, right after the Super Bowl, would have said that 2000, probably to 2008, 2009 Eagles run was probably the golden era of Eagles football. So that leads me to today's question of the day. Which Eagles era of football is best? And now, keep in mind that this one is still incomplete, but does include our only Super Bowl. 2000 to 2008 or 2016 until today? Let me know your thoughts. 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that, anything else Philly sports related off your chest. But let's have some fun today on a hump day Wednesday after a quiet day in Philly. Which era of Eagles football was better? 2000 to 2008 or the 2016 to 2024? I mean, you had consistently the Eagles were Super Bowl contenders during Andy Reid's era. You have a lot of the drama. You have the collapse of last year, but you have that Super Bowl win. You have the 2022 season or 2020 season, where Doug and Carson couldn't get along. It's an interesting debate. I'm going now. I mean, quite honestly, because of the time I grew up, and I'm anxious to see how this falls on generational lines because guys my age probably are going to go this one only because we won the Super Bowl and all of the suffering and pain that we went through as Eagles fans growing up. But I'm anxious to see if the newer generation who kind of grew up with the Eagles being were born or even very young during the Andy Reid era, if they have a different opinion on that, because I always talk about how that Buddy Ryan era, they always hold a special spot in my heart. So do guys that grew up with Donovan and Brian Dawkins and B. West and Hugh Douglas and guys like that, do they look at it differently? So which era do you got? 2000 to 2008 or 2016 to 2024? Let's have some fun on a hump day. 267-495-8531. That's a Back to the Future voice and text line. And if you want to get even deeper into the numbers, which I usually don't like to do, Andy Reid's 3 best years versus Nick Sirianni's 3 best years, they have the exact same record. Andy won one more division, but this team could win a Super Bowl. So just give me your thoughts on that. Let's have a little bit of fun, all in honor of Coach Sirianni, who's getting no love for Coach of the Year.